do that, we'll talk about Ebola. The Parliamentary Select Committee on Health has given the Ministry of Health and Ghana Health Service 1 week to set up a 24-hour response center on the Ebola virus. Health experts have also expressed lack of an authoritative information center to be the reason fueling rumors among Ghanaians on the Ebola virus in the country.
Members of the Health Committee of Parliament said they were unhappy about the way Ghana is preparing towards the Ebola virus.
We are not happy about the situation. You remember some people who are very key in this meeting are also asking similar questions. So what about the ordinary person? How much information does he have?
Most health experts at a workshop in Accra lamented the lack of a single authoritative source for handling information on Ebola. An associate professor, Alex Dodu, expressed fears Ghana is practically not ready.
So really, much as a lot appears to be done, it's not enough. It should be clear, it should be consistent, people should know, there should be no doubt. And indeed, I have said, and I will repeat, all the free phone numbers we have been given are meaningless because they are too long. We can't remember. The telephone companies knows very well that they can do much better. They can give us short code, 5 numbers, 4 numbers, and everyone can dial into it. But it should be one number, and the content should come from one source.
The Parliamentary Select Committee therefore directed a 24-hour information source center be set up to provide regular, timely, and official information on the Ebola virus.
Once we have asked the Director General to get in touch with him, we will follow up, and by the close of the week, they must have that center with a short form of the.
We've imported 10,000 pieces of protective clothing which will be distributed across the country so that health workers who have to deal with cases like this are able to protect themselves.
President Mahama, who is also the chairman of ECOWAS, expressed solidarity for countries affected with Ebola and indicated the regional body will continue to fight the disease collectively.
So the president touched on a very important issue and would want to know your thoughts, because as I would imagine, a lot of you are on social media, our Twitter and Facebook pages, pouring out your thoughts there. Do you think that we're using the social media to distract, to destroy people's reputation, to also scare people on issues that, well, sometimes they have no facts whatsoever to it? So send us your thoughts via in relation to what the president said while we stay on Ebola. The Ghana Health Service has confirmed though preparation towards the control of the Ebola virus is not 100%, significant strides have been made. At a workshop on the disease organized by Graphic Communication Group for the media, speakers said preparation so far is inadequate.
The Ebola virus has killed more than 1,200 people since it began in December 2013. More than 2,200 have been affected according to the UN Health Agency. Authorities have tried to contain the disease since it started spreading in Guinea. Ghana so far has not recorded any case. As part of efforts to contain the disease, Graphic Communications Group organized a sensitization workshop for journalists.
It's important to bring together all media houses for all of us to come and hear from the stakeholders who are involved in the fights against Ebola, the spread of Ebola, or even Ebola coming into Ghana, so that once we are well educated, then we as journalists, we as the media are able to ask the very important and salient questions.
Coordinator for Port Health at the Ghana Health Service, Michael Ejabin, advised the media to seek the right information on the disease.
So far, the media has been doing their best. A few have gone out of their way to verify information before they report. And this is what we'll ask the media to continue doing.
The Deputy Minister of Health, Dr. Victor Saribempo, said 10,000 protective gears are on the way to the country.
A few personal protective equipment have already been distributed to the region. Those are not nearly enough. There's also procurement of more disinfectants, gloves for distribution to regions and so on.
The Noguchi Memorial Institute has so far tested 60 suspected cases.
Right, and as of August 16, 2014, 2,240 cases and 1,229 deaths of Ebola virus disease has been recorded in the 4 affected West African countries. Now, WHO says the response of the organization and other partners to the Ebola virus outbreak is continuing to grow in affected countries to reduce the likelihood and those infected will carry the disease outside their communities.
Between 14 and 16 August 2014, a total of 113 new cases of Ebola virus disease and 84 deaths were reported from Guinea, Liberia, Nigeria and Sierra Leone. Governments from those countries have created quarantine zones in areas of high transmission, including severely affected cities. This prevents people living in such areas from moving to other parts of the country and potentially increasing transmission. However, it also means that barriers to travel limits their access to food and other necessities. WHO is working with the United Nations World Food Programme, WFP, to ensure people in the quarantine zones receive regular food aid and other non-medical supplies. WFP is also scaling up its program to distribute food to the around 1 million people living in the quarantine zones in Guinea, Liberia and Sierra Leone. Meanwhile, WHO does not recommend any travel or trade restrictions be applied except in cases where individuals are confirmed or are suspected of being infected. Contacts do not include properly protected healthcare workers and laboratory staff.
Also, Ghana's hospitality industry is really under the Ebola threat, having lost millions of cedis due to cancellation of hotel reservations. Now, the situation has not only affected Ghana, we understand that other countries in the West African sub-region have all been affected.
Cancellation of hotel bookings and airline reservations have been witnessed since the Ebola outbreak in some countries in West Africa, affecting business projections of operators. In order to prevent the virus from spreading, government placed a 3-month ban on all international conferences scheduled to be hosted in the country. But speaking off camera, the general manager of Mövenpick noted that he was not aware of such a ban, adding international conferences were still ongoing at the hotel and would not comment any further. Most hotels in the country, however, say millions of cedis have been lost as a result of the ban and the general outbreak of Ebola in West Africa.
Certainly in the millions of cedis of bookings that have cancelled across the board. At the end of the day, people don't want to travel. Conference delegates and organisers then have no option but to postpone their meetings. So it is something that we cannot control.
Major conferences scheduled in the country have had to be cancelled, and the hotel industry is to be severely affected if there's no end in sight to the Ebola outbreak.
The industry needs to become very efficient and effective, as a business would have to when volumes decrease. So each hotel is working very much on maintaining the internal market. We have a lot of tourism and a lot of business locally, so we now don't have the same influx of people from outside, although it hasn't stopped.